Hi and welcome to another episode of Making Things. Today I'll show you how to make your own custom fully articulating faucet.
Right.
This project actually arose from my completely screwing up my free faucet, which I was just recycling, but in trying to fix the drip, when I was removing the cartridge, I snapped the spout off. So that was number one, and it's not really available at the hardware store. And what I did find online, they sell them for about 26 bucks, and a new one costs, for the entire kit costs about 50. And then to make things worse, the cartridge on this one had a completely rotten screw. I tried to remove it so that I could, because I'd lost one of the rubber gaskets. And when I tried to remove it, I ended up with this, completely torn apart piece of brass. So that was the end of that for this faucet. But it inspired me to try and figure out a better way to build my own faucet. And the reason for that is because, I'd gone into this project thinking, well, good for me, I have a recycled sink, a bit of extra lumber I had, and a couple bucks of fittings, and all of a sudden I got a hot and cold tap for my workshop, and I thought that was great. And so instead of spending 50 bucks on a new brass faucet, I decided I'd make my own setup. Now, in order to get the articulations working, you're going to have a few different options. The first is PEX. So I'm going to be using a mix of PEX and copper. At the end of the day, you do want some copper though, because you want to be able to have a solid spout coming out. Otherwise, it's going to be all flimsy and kind of weird. But the nice thing with PEX is that it will rotate to at least some degree. It is fairly snug right now. This isn't working. I need to cut it anyway, so. So PEX does have some level of flexibility. Right now I'm kind of holding on to it pretty aggressively, but if you've got some leverage, I don't know if you can see this little mark here, you can clearly see that, this does rotate pretty nicely. I wouldn't recommend it for, constantly moving. Of course, you're going to be having some kind of wear, but for tilting the spout up and down, it'll be just fine. The other option that comes in, if you're doing all copper, you don't actually need to use PEX, but your price will go up a little bit, because where you're going to get your rotation from copper is shark bite. So if we put a piece of copper in a shark bite, right over here. If you put a piece of copper in a shark bite fitting, it will rotate. So that's how we're going to get the other parts of our rotations. Now this does increase the cost, which is why I'm going to be using part PEX, part shark bite. And the important part for this is going to be an elbow. You're going to need a shark bite elbow to get the x-axis rotation on your spout. And you're also going to need it to get your z-axis rotation. So the y-axis, the up and down, is going to be, in my case, from PEX. But if you wanted to, you could, of course, go with two shark bite valves or a T with copper. So that would also work. Actually, you can go PEX directly to your T, and then from the shark bite T have copper coming out. Now, why do I have this randomly if I'm not going to be using it? Actually, I just keep a 1/2 inch and a 3/4 inch on hand at all times. If you've ever got a major failure and you've got a pipe that bursts or something, obviously you want to fix it. But in a pinch, if all you have time to do is cut it and shut off the water so that you don't have a gigantic mess in your house, and you want to be able to keep using water in the rest of your house for the day or two it might take to get the proper fix in, you just snap, cut the problematic piece, snap one of these on. Sometimes you can even just join two pieces and keep going and you know, live on happily ever after. And it really saves you a lot of trouble on emergency type fixes. So I always keep one of these on hand, as well as, you know, just a regular straight joint. So I've got most of it done now. I ran out of crimping rings, which is just about as bad as running out of screws. It's not like it's you know, they're dirt cheap, so running out of them is extra frustrating because really there's no good reason. But most of it is built now, and so I can show you the gist of it. So I've got my spout that can move side to side and also be rotated. So given that I have got a hose attachment on there that I'll be using, it'll be useful to be able to turn it sideways. And I'll be, instead of putting it like this, which might look a bit more intuitive, I am going to be putting it upside down. That way it doesn't rotate itself by weight. What I'm scared of is if I put it with the elbow upwards, is that over time it'll just slowly creep down. And really I have absolutely no reason to ever point it downwards like this, unless I really want to splash my wall. So I'm going to be assembling it like this. That way if I need to move it up for a reason or another, I can, but otherwise the elbow rests on the wall, which gives it a bit more rigidity. And there you go. And the end result is a fully articulated faucet. So putting it out here like this will be useful, for example, when it's pointing towards the, this is a quick release for my garden hose, so when the garden hose is in, instead of just going at a sharp angle, it'll just keep the flow going so that it won't kink, and also put a lot less pressure on the whole system. And I have no clue why I would ever need to raise it towards myself like this, but I can. So I guess if I ever need to spray myself in the face, I'll do it. I hope this was helpful to you. Please like, subscribe, leave some comments, feedback. Have a good day.